What is going on? And welcome back to Memes and Markets. Keith, how are you, man?
Today's the best day of my life, Ben. How you living?
Today's an absolutely awesome day. We have some legends with us that I'll allow you to introduce, and then we'll get into this special extra episode that we have coming out this week.
Absolutely. What up to everybody in the chat? First and foremost, how we doing? And we've got Emmitt Smith and EJ Smith in the building with us today. I guess virtually.
We're in two different locations.
Right. But yeah, man, huge thanks to you for joining us today. Wanted to dive into some of the hot topics at the moment regarding, first off, something that's close to me. I spent a lot of time in the world of financial literacy, trying to help people understand and really just work with people to understand where there are gaps in understandings about how money's flowing through the world from an economic level all the way down to like what's happening in the local community.
Right.
And, obviously in the world of sports, there's a lot to talk about in that world around how money trickles down, where it goes, and what it's like having crazy, amazing careers where you earn so much and really fast. And then for a lot of people, that income is immediately gone, right? Versus with other careers, you actually earn more over time, right? Like usually as you get older, you're going to make more and more money.
Right.
So that's one major thing. But then also we got to talk NIL. We got to talk about EJ. Like, how has that been for you and that entire progression of how that's changed the game as well?
Right.
And then we'll talk about things like the sports gambling thing and all of that. But
there's a lot to talk about today.
There's so much to talk about. So let me shut up and ask you guys a little bit about, basically, Emmitt, I wanted to start with you. Can you talk a little bit about coming into that kind of money that you came into at such a young age, and how that impacted your life?
Well, first and foremost, let me just say thank you guys for having me on. I'm honored to be on with my son and talk about some of the things that we're going to talk about. To answer your question, it was exciting to know that I had an opportunity to play the game of football and play it at the highest level, first and foremost. I didn't realize the how much capital was actually there, because I'd never seen that much money before in my life at the time. When I first got my signing bonus from the Dallas Cowboys, it was a $1,050,000. I was like, oh my gosh. Then I saw FICA on there, had to understand who the hell FICA was and what the heck FICA was doing in my business. And so when FICA hit me, that check went from $1,050,000 down to about $640 or $740.
Wow.
And so then I realized that the government is taxing my behind at a higher rate. I never had to deal with rates, which bracket I was in, because I was always in the poor bracket. And I never made enough money in 1 year to have to file a tax. And so learning that was eye-awakening. And then getting my very first game check and understanding what that was like, it was eye-awakening. But what I did was, whenever I had a chance, because once you get paid during the season, that's when the season starts, and you really don't have a chance to sit down with your financial people and everything else to go over everything that you actually have and how to deal with it. So quite naturally, athletes, we want to do the one thing. We want to treat ourselves for the privilege of being able to play in the National Football League, because you worked so hard as a kid to get to that point, and now you feel like you've had an opportunity. Now you made it. Now you want to just pat yourself on the back, say, okay, job well done. So we go out and do stupid things. And the reason why we do stupid things, and I say stupid things, and I'm saying it being facetious, no one is really stupid, but we buy things that we may not have no complete understanding of the implications of the acquisition. And so I did the same thing. I bought me a Mercedes-Benz SL drop top, put the kit on it, the resin kits, had the fly rims and the speakers in the back, and it was beautiful. But I parked it outside in a parking lot under a shed at my apartment complex. So think about the difference. I buy over $100,000 car, but I'm living in an apartment. At that time, you couldn't tell me nothing. I was a rookie, didn't know any better, because the system had failed me. And I'm gonna say the system had failed me and many others and many people. The reason why I say that, because financial literacy was never taught. Even at a young age, or even at elementary school, middle school, high school, even in college, they didn't even talk about financial literacy. And so not being educated and understanding the difference between the asset and the liability, and understanding the difference between investing and putting your money into a bank account. Some people call that investing, especially in our communities. Because if you think back to the historical evidence of who we were as a people, we had banks taking our money. We had the government taking our money. We had the government taking any land that we actually had. So people of color actually hid their money in their house.
Correct.
Whether it was in a rooftop or whatever. Now, EJ may not understand that because we had never talked about the depths of it all, because it would take a minute to go through it all. However, it was exciting because it was the beginning of something new. It was the beginning of seeing an opportunity for myself to be an exchange agent for my whole entire family. And I think that's the way that we all approach it. We approach it like, oh, that's why you hear a lot of folks at the draft when their sons and daughters and everybody else get drafted and everybody's cheering, hey, we made it. That's the philosophy. But the reality is we did not make it. We just began. Because this is a new life learning lesson, not only for myself, but also for my siblings and my mom and dad. Because the first thing that a mother and daddy wants to do is, I'm retiring because my son is going to take care of me. Your son's responsibility is not to necessarily take care of you. You raise your children to go off and be a better version than you. And they are introducing themselves to new things that they just not learning about. And while you're still young, because most of the times when your kids reach EJ's age, we're still young. I'm still young. I mean, I like that guy. and I still have a lot more life in me. And so I still have earning potential. My father still had earning potential. My mom still had earning potential. That was not the time to quit. That was the time to press in. And that's the time to press in to learn new things that they never thought about, things that they never had to deal with, things that never really crossed their mind, places that they never went before, and doing things that no one in the family has ever done before. So it was a new thing for everybody. And it takes time to find the right people, to learn what they do, how they go about doing it, and then immerse yourself in that area, just like you're immersing yourself in your sport, just like you're immersing yourself in your education, just like you immerse yourself in life. You have to get knowledge around things that you don't quite understand, but you're living in it every day. And that in itself is always a challenge because the world doesn't stop. It just steady keep moving. And then you have to learn how to deal with the balance of finances, people who wanting access to you, people who want you to invest in that. Your hometown friends want you to reform the whole downtown area and you own it. And yet everybody wants to come in for free. all of that stuff you have to learn how to say no to, because you got to learn and retrain your thought process and your thinking to understand truly what the opportunity is right now. And oftentimes that is missed by a lot of us. And it's not because we don't have the right desires, because we want to help people. It's just in our nature to try and want to give back, because I hear my mother's voice all the time. No matter how high you go, son, never forget where you come from, and always extend a helping hand to those who are in need, or try to anyway, because there's so much need. It's impossible to help everybody, but we try to do things in our local communities, in our hometown communities, to help others get from underneath all of the limitations of life. That's the best way I can describe it.
Appreciate you breaking that down, man. For sure, I imagine that something that's super interesting about. So I like to look at people who are coming into large amounts of money in a short period of time. You look at the world of music. I've spent a lot of time in the music industry, rather creating music, not even in the industry, but creating music. And I would look at people and I'm like, man, like they're making all this money at one time, and like it's coming in and it's gone, but coming from the privilege that I can acknowledge, that I've been around, like the infrastructure around me of like, what does money mean? Like, what does that actually look like? Having grown up around, quite honestly, the richest man in my state, and where you don't see any of that. You don't see billions of dollars. You can't really put your hand on that. Right. So it was a very different. I'm like, wait, but this is what everyone's being shown, but this is what real wealth actually looks like. Right. And so I've always been just fascinated with like, what is the actual difference in between the things that we're seeing and what it actually is, and what are the different steps that need to be taken for us to really understand what money means in real life. And to you, it sounds like a lot of the things that come up as well are, how do I help people? How do I take care of people around me? And so
how money looks and what does it really mean? Money means that you have access not to an unlimited resource, but you have access to get certain things that you absolutely need. And notice I say that you absolutely need. There's a distinct difference between getting the things that you absolutely need versus the things that you want. A lot of us spend on our wants versus what we absolutely need. And obviously, like I said, we want to pat ourselves on the back for the hard work and the years of putting it in, and then finally been rewarded with an opportunity. And notice I say the word opportunity, because it's just that's all it is, just an opportunity. That opportunity can only last 3 years. That opportunity can last 1 year. That opportunity can last 6 months. Or that opportunity can last 15 years like mine did. And there's so much to learn from year 1 all the way to year 15. So there's always this growing curve and this curve and this learning curve in all of these things. But money actually gives you the ability to provide for oneself for a certain period of time. The question is, how long is that time? And how and what type of lifestyle do you really want to have? And are you willing to make the sacrifices on the front to have the lifestyle that you want down the future? Because in my younger years, those are my earning years. Those are the years I needed to be stashing a whole lot away, a lot. And it's all about planning. And once I realized that, hey, you know what? And it took me like 5 or 6 years. I'm like, because I used to say this to my financial people. I used to say, hey, man, why instead of me renting an apartment complex and I'm paying almost $13,000, $14,000, $15,000 a year on this apartment complex, why don't I just go buy me a house that's $125,000 and do the same thing, or buy me a duplex or something? He said, well, this is what the financial people would say. Well, we don't know how long you're going to be in Dallas. I'm like, that's cool. I understand. I'm here for 3 years. At least the contract says I'm going to be here for 3 years. This is how naive I was. And so I'm like, okay, I can do that. I can manage that. And they say, let's see how far it goes. I'm like, okay, cool. That's one level. That's one level of thought. But a strategic thinking person would have said, you know what? Yeah, why are you spending the money over here? Why don't we just do this and put you in a apartment complex, or put you in a duplex, or put you in a house that looks like this, so you develop equity and everything else. You start to establish a different level of credit, and who knows, if you get traded, then maybe we create a system to you get traded, but somebody else come in and rent your house from you. You see what I'm saying? It's a different thought process. Yes, they're looking at my best interest for the long term, but in the short term, I'm leaving stuff on the table. However, when you move to contract number 2, things change. They change significantly, and every change requires you to change with it and you to grow with it. So whether I'm playing high school football and I'm going to college is a different level of football. So I have to change with a different level of football. The workouts are completely different than they were in high school. I had to learn things differently. I had to play against faster guys, bigger, faster, stronger guys. Everything else you have to adjust. And then when you leave college, you got to go to the pros. So you still have to make adjustments and grow into the next phase of your career. And the one thing I've always wanted to do was learn throughout the whole entire process. And there's so much to learn. And you're going through things not just to go through it. You're going through it to not only you're going through it to learn what you don't know. Because there's an opportunity to learn things that you don't know. Yes, college taught me some things. And yes, I got a college degree. Yes, that's textbook. But is it applicable to what I do in real life? And how do I apply these skills here? So money is, to me, is just a sidebar. It's a conversation. The process of making the money is where the fun is at. Is where the excitement and the joy is at for me, because now I get to start something and see it through. Now I get to understand what time value of money really looks like. My time, my value yields a result of money. And what I invest in, how long is there, when I put the money in, how long it takes for me to get it out, that's my time value of money. That's where my IRR started to come. So hitting on these things and learning these different things throughout my career and life, I don't think about money in that regard. I just think about, okay, am I able to pay my bills? Am I able to support my family? Am I able to take my vacations and do the things I can't spend? I don't want to spend it all. I actually want my kids to learn how to earn it too. Because if I can teach them how to fish, they can fish for a lifetime. But if I just take them fishing, they can only go fishing one time, not know how to fish at all. So life is all about, to me, it's all about the process of learning and the value that you find in that process of learning, and how you apply that to the things that you truly want to do. The same old drive that you had on the football field is the same old drive you need to have off the football field. Maybe without the intensity, but the drive.
Totally. Yeah, and football is such a instant sport, right? Where you're constantly living in the next play, and finances are such a different dynamic where that's such a juxtaposition of change, where you have to start thinking about finances, not the next play. You're thinking years down the line and longer. You mentioned the fact that when you get to the NFL, you get hit with this large contract, and then everyone comes out of the woodwork and it's like, I want your help. Now that starts even earlier because of NIL, right?
Yeah.
I would love to talk to you guys about that subject, because that's completely changed the entire landscape of college football. Emmitt, I'll ask you first, because I know you definitely didn't get any money, but did anyone else you knew get money back in the day from playing college ball?
If they got money back in the day for playing college football, we were on probation.
Okay.
And they were suspended.
Got it.
And so that's what we had to deal with. And even though we felt back in the day that we deserved to have NIL at that time, and I still feel the same way to this day. So I'm not opposed to NIL. What I am opposed to is how they have implemented it.
Yeah, please explain.
I think they have, and this is what bugs me the most. We as adults or leaders that sit around in these rooms, the old fogey stogies, if you want to call us that, people supposed to be of wisdom and knowledge and understanding. We sit up high and look down low and make decisions that can wreck a person's life and take no responsibility for it. And that's what bugs me, because they knew that once money started hitting college football, it was going to be the wild, wild west. Just like crypto was the wild, wild west early. Just like certain things were the wild, wild west early. And then they come back and try to be the hero and put guardrails around something that they should have put guardrails around in the beginning. Here we are talking about financial literacy. And they know good and tea well that most of these families and most of us come from areas of lack, and now I'm about to be introduced to new money. Everybody does not come from a place like EJ may have come from, where his mom and dad may have had experience of dealing with a balanced asset portfolio and what that consists of, or investing in real estate and what kind of returns you get. Those kind of things, a lot of us don't come from that space. I never came from that space. I don't think my father made over $75,000 in 1 year. If that, he drove the city bus. And so in his lifetime, he may have made, maybe in his lifetime could have made $500,000. But that money came and it went because it had bills to pay. It wasn't much to invest in because there was no conversation around investments. If there was a conversation around investments, then I would have been thinking differently. Even when I got my first dollar, I would have been thinking differently. So when you think about all of these different things, you think about how NIL can transform a young person's life. But what comes along with that NIL is a great deal of responsibility that these young people are still learning. And they're put in compromising positions because oftentimes some of them are coming from single family families. I ain't gonna say all of them, but they got mom on one side, dad on the other side, brothers and sisters, cousins, uncles and aunts, friends, girlfriends, and associates to deal with. And they got to stay focused on their education, and they got to stay focused on their workouts, and they got to perform. And, you know, and so it's kind of like you see some of the childhood TV stars, and they grow up, and when they're older, they're not quite the same because things have changed. And that happens in football all the time. Careers are cut short, and people don't know what to do next because they put all their eggs in one basket. And therefore, that's why I'm so grateful and thankful and proud of my kid, because we talk about the 40-year decision, but he had a daddy and a mama to say that. And some people say, what's a 40-year decision, Emmitt? Well, a 40-year decision from the Smith family standpoint is education and network. So you go to Stanford, you get your great education, and you got a hell of a network. You graduate from Stanford, then you transfer to Texas A&M, you got great education and a hell of a network. You know what I'm saying? And Jasmine go to Duke, and she got a hell of an education and a hell of a network. Reagan go to A&M, she got a hell of an education and a hell of a network. You know what I'm saying? And there's Skylar's down at the University of Georgia, where she gonna graduate down there and gonna have a heck of an education and a heck of a network. I went to the University of Florida, got a real good education, and I got a heck of a network. So the whole family have networks that we can join into and tap into. That's a 40-year decision. That's beyond the game. That's beyond the game. And while it's beyond the game, it's accessible. And so now you have diversity of thought, diversity of education, and relationships and networks And oftentimes people forget that because they've never been taught that, especially coming from areas that we come from. But it took me to go through the pros and everything else to understand what that really meant and to be around people that like a Jerry Jones and many multi-billionaires that I've been around and 100 millionaires that I've been around and have one-on-one conversations with and to be on their G4s with them and have different, just to have a life of experience, something that my mom and dad never had. So without that life experience, I can't share with my kids what a 40-year decision looks like. And so when you have that, that's where NIL itself falls short, because these kids are bouncing from state or from team to team to team to team, and two things are happening. They're not establishing any discipline. They're not being committed to nothing but themselves. So they become selfish, and they're chasing after the money. And when the old mighty dollar runs out, then where do they go? Because there's no network there.
Right.
There's no floor. There's nothing there to help and assist. So football is one of those things, we're going to use you up while we got you. And then when you're gone, you're gone.
Wow. The network piece is the one thing that Ben and I are always talking about, because a lot of people at this point are considering whether or not they want to go to university. And EJ, we're about to definitely pass it to you on some of this. And so it's like the thing that I'm always saying is, well, the most important thing that you're actually going to get out of university at this point is 100% the network. And so I never thought about that idea that, oh, if these kids are moving around back and forth all the time, then they're not building that network. They're just there doing their little job, right? And then they go home and it's over.
It's very transactional.
Yeah. Yeah. So EJ, talk to us a little bit about what you can about your experience around this NIL situation and any lessons maybe that your dad taught you through all of this and how you've been dealing with and thinking about all that.
My experience is interesting because I came during the time of NIL, like once it started actually ramping up. And so when I was at Stanford, Stanford is usually conservative when it comes to implementing new ideas and new ways of, I guess, the college atmosphere. And so it took them a couple years to actually start giving us NIL money. And so at the time, I was just trying to figure out how to invest the money that I did get from my stipend. And I would say something that my dad taught me was he would have us come and sit down at the kitchen table, and he'll show us how to manage our money. So he'll give it like a scenario. You have 100K in your pocket. How are you going to distribute it? And so at the time, I was interested for about 15 minutes, and then I was like, okay, I'm good. Like, it's time for me to go somewhere else. But I always wanted to learn how to make money. And so just doing that, I actually it started to become fun to know how you can actually utilize, or money to, build more assets and actually work for you. And so, yeah, that's pretty much it for that.
We got to hear about your experience at Stanford as well, right? Because
Yeah,
a lot of
for sure.
people, I mean, my best friend in high school, that was like his target school. He was
Yeah.
really trying super hard to get in, and it's obviously in the world of business, technology, finance, like that's the elite place to go if you really want to go down that path. So
hmm
talk to us about that. What was that like? What did you study and you graduated from there? So tell
Yeah,
us.
Stanford was a great experience. I didn't. Actually took it. I feel like I took it for granted just because of my circumstances and stuff like that. I let my circumstances overwhelm me with the opportunity that was actually in front of me. And so, um, the campus was beautiful. I love my major. It was innovation organization, or science, technology, society, and focus in innovation organization. What we say at Stanford is STS. And so with that major, I was able to pick a bunch of classes I was interested in. I wanted to go into economics, and then I realized that I didn't really want to look at kind of the like all the charting and stuff.
Yeah.
And so, and actually just only be focusing on that. And because I just wanted to learn so much. And Stanford gave you the opportunity to do that. And so that's why I was so grateful for it, because I learned about AI. I learned about how to be a business owner. I actually learned about real estate too on top of that. And so you just, with that major, you're just able to pick and choose. And that's what I love most about it.
No, that's awesome, man. And one thing that's been so cool about following your journey on social media is that you're preparing for the NFL draft, but at the exact same time, you're also focusing on financial literacy, building a business. Like that's so
Yeah.
abnormal. I've been a football fan for a very long time. So I used to follow
Mhm.
the draft process, the prospects. And so for me, as like a business person who loves football, it's so cool to see that. Was that the Stanford influence? Was that your dad? Like what got you started on that before you've even entered your career?
I've always wanted that to happen. I would say there was a time where my dad and I and my family too, we were at this restaurant and it was in LA and we're on the beach. And I'm just looking out, I'm seeing a bunch of yachts coming by, seeing a bunch of other boats and stuff like that. And I'm like, I told my dad, I was like, I want that yacht right there. He's like, you want that one? And it was a big one. It was huge. And he was like, football won't be able to get you that. Football will take you
Mm,
so far.
mm.
And so with that, I was like, okay, cool. And ever since then, I was like, okay, what else can I do to help me, get that? Well, I love playing football. And so how can I utilize other things while I'm playing to actually make me more money? And just throughout that process, that's one of the reasons why I went to Stanford, just because of that mindset, being in that environment, and also having the opportunity to play good football too.
Totally.
And so, yeah, I mean, that's where it really started from
That's
there.
that's so awesome and such an important thing for athletes to preach, in my opinion, because everybody has an expiry date for playing the game, right? You're on borrowed time no matter where you are. And so to think like that from the beginning can solve a lot of problems before they happen because a lot of athletes get into bad things because they didn't think about after the game was
Hmm.
gone from them. So that's super amazing that you're able to do that. Do you find that many people that are your peers are thinking like that as well? Or are they like one track focused on sports? That's it.
It depends. So at Stanford it was like that, but we didn't really have money to do
Fair. Makes
that.
sense.
At A&M, it was different. You had a variety of guys who did different things, but also it was just similar to what my dad's talking about. It's like they just don't know, and it's not their fault that they don't know. They just haven't been taught it,
Totally.
and they haven't had anybody around them to teach that information. And so they hear these things, but they just don't know how or what to do to actually start doing it. And so, yeah, I
Yeah,
feel
yeah.
like that's the biggest. Um,
I'm gonna pick it back off of what EJ said with what they may not know. I call it exposure, and that's really what it is. It's been exposed to financials. Yes, we learned penny, nickels, dimes, and dollars, and adding and subtracting, and but learning how to invest. And I think a lot of young people now, there are different high schools that have an investment club and different things like that that young people can be involved in. That's a great thing to be involved in, by the way. It teaches you so much about money, how money works, learning how to manage debt, how to deal with debt, and when to use debt, when not to use debt, et cetera, et cetera. With learning how to borrow money and who money you borrow it from, use to go get it. You know what I'm saying? It's just a different mindset, and unless you've been exposed to some of those things, you just won't even know the questions to ask. And that's part of the intimidation part for some of us athletes is not knowing what we don't know. We don't want to come across as being, quote unquote, a dumb athlete. And so we may not ask the question, but I was always told the dumbest question is the one that's never asked. And so whenever I was around people that own franchises, did businesses and ran businesses and owned different things, I wanted to ask questions. And you'll be surprised how if you sit down in an open setting or a one-on-one scenario, how open people really are to share. Because a lot of folks don't have someone to share that knowledge with anyway. And so to have some young person that's very interested in understanding how this business world works, people find that very flattering. And I'm gonna tell this one story, and then I'm gonna let you go back to EJ. I This is like probably 96, maybe 97. I call MJ. I said, I need to talk to you about business. He said, okay, E, meet me up in San Fran. It was around the NBA All-Star game or something like that. So I flew to San Fran, checked into the Ritz-Carlton. That's where he was staying. And so he and I met on his lounge floor. We sitting across from each other, and I'm having this one-on-one conversation with MJ. And I love him. I love him for it too. And we just talked about business. I asked all the questions I want. He shared the way he wanted. Then at the end, I said, Mike, I said, how come many of us don't do this? He said, well, E, look what you did. Not many people are willing to ask or reach out and ask. He said, why would I give some knowledge to someone that don't want it? It's going to fall on deaf ears. He said, but you reached out and asked, and you took the initiative to fly up here. So you invested in yourself. And then you invested in the hotel room. And now here we are sitting right here. He said, so when that happens, that's when I don't mind sharing. And when he said that, then I looked years after that, Kobe Bryant sat right down with the man to gain knowledge, how to work and everything else. And he took it and made it applicable to himself. And that's really what this is all about. It's about sharing and caring. Sharing is caring, especially if the time permits. And you should value the next person's time just as much as you value your own time and what that person has to offer. Magic Johnson was the same way. So was Roger Staubach. Jerry Jones was definitely the same way. And there's a slew of others that was the same way. And so exposure is extremely, extremely important. So I'll let y'all go back and beat up on EJ.
No, just to piggyback off of what you're talking about too, it's like what you guys did was help me get a glimpse of what that looks like. And then what I did is actually put in the actions to learn more about what I wanted to learn more about, especially when it came to, making money. And so I feel like too, it's important to have that, that desire to learn more, because from that learning, you also know how to answer those questions too, or ask those questions as well. I feel like the best questions that I've had came from experience, from the things that I realized I wish I would have known at the time. And so.
Beautifully said, all of that. That exposure concept, right? We talk about that in terms of concepts and people and things of that nature. And we also talk about that here in terms of assets. And the thing is like, so I spent some time in Miami. I lived in Miami for a while. And one of the things that I tried to do at that time was I would go to high schools and talk to kids about money and then a little bit about crypto and stuff like that as well, because I knew that a lot of people in these schools. I went to Booker T. Washington, and I know that you said your dad went there, correct?
Yeah, he went to Booker T. Washington in Pensacola. Not
Pensacola. Gotcha. Yeah. Okay. I didn't know if it was out there. Well, so anyways, I would go to these schools in Miami and talk to the kids, and there was some extremely bright minds, right? Like super inquisitive kids. They knew more about the subject matter than I did in a lot of circumstances. And it really makes a big difference, right? If these people are getting exposure to this information or not. And another piece of that is when I was in Miami, I had a mentor of mine who just pulled me in. His name is David Wilson, incredible human being. And the thing is, so he owns a broker dealer. He's a black man in America, owns a broker dealer. And there's just only so many of those people. You could probably count them on your hands.
Right.
And that's like the access point, right? Like to get into the game of finance, to get into these private equity deals, all that kind of stuff. Like, how many people are there really that can do that? And he would everything that he did was about just providing access, inviting all these kids in, letting them be interns at the office and all this thing. And it was just such an incredible experience to be around him. But I just wanted to really double down on how important it is also as for us who can recognize, right, that exposure is so important. what are the different ways that we can offer the spaces for it? Because there's so many bright minds that are out there that are curious, and it's so cool to hear that that's kind of how you approached the situations that you were in, because that investment in yourself, that right there absolutely takes things to the whole next level. EJ, as you're looking at this next chapter in your life, what are the different things that you're thinking about around getting exposure to new ideas and new concepts? And what does it look like to build a network in this time where you're in between things like that? What does that feel like?
I mean, I feel like the network begins once you first get on campus. Um, like it doesn't happen once you graduate. It doesn't happen, in the beginning between the two. But what's important is that you actually try to do just outreach. Talk to everybody. Be friendly with the students. It's hard for athletes, or at least for me, after working out, then going to class and actually being social, because you're worn out. You're having to take notes, and then you're just ready to go back to the dorm and go to sleep. And so, just being able to, what, let me just take 10 minutes out of my day, just to talk to a student before I go to my dorm. But on top of that too, Stanford really did a good job when it came to networking. And there are times during the summer where you actually were able to do internships. And so one of the directors within the football team would, send people who were alumni who were also athletes at the time, um, to see if you wanted to go work for them. And so that's what I was very grateful for at Stanford. At A&M, I had to do more outreach. And so that's where I really learned how to, okay, using my professors to talk to certain people or get in contact with certain people, actually building a relationship with my professors to where I'm actually talking to them on a, weekly basis about stuff outside of just what we're learning in class. And so actually just putting those hours in throughout the day after a workout. So usually what I would do is we would have workouts in the morning, and I would have to wake up around 5:30. We would have workouts at 7:15. So I'll get to the facility around 6:15 for treatment and breakfast. And then after my 7:15 workout, that'll be about 2 hours. So around 9:15 in the morning, we'll have breakfast after that too. And then maybe let's say I'll have class within like the next hour. So after class, then I'll try to schedule a meeting with a professor or somebody who I can network with just to learn and pick their brain about certain stuff.
That's
And,
huge, man.
That's
and
kind of how it would go.
that's critical all by itself. What he just said at the beginning. He's so exhausted from working out and preparing himself for for sports. He has class. He has to take notes, and so that workout, as people may think, is as light as they can probably perceive it, takes a lot out of a person, and it takes a lot to recover from that. And so having the energy to be able to network and be social. Sometimes athletes are quiet and people may look at them being that standoffish. No, I don't think they're standoffish. Some could be, but others are more open to have conversations if conversations are brought to them in a light way versus someone coming up saying, man, what a great game. What's going on this week? Who we got? He may not want to talk about it at that time because he's in class mode and he's thinking about class work and he's thinking about networking and getting to know someone perhaps that they don't know but want to know. And so it's a delicate balance there for athletes as well. But the cool thing about what I'm hearing is taking that space, because oftentimes you could take that same old space that you spend with a professor, you could be at home sleeping. But instead of sleeping, you pushing, you're networking, and that pays off in the long run. And that's where the 40-year decision comes into play.
Yeah, we talk about all
Yeah.
the time. Go ahead, EJ. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, like, I don't want this to sound like I was very like structured on this, like I was doing this every week, every day kind of thing. It was just periodically throughout the semester, throughout, just the time throughout the season in the fall or even during the off season. Um, more heavily in the off season, I'll actually do more outreach, obviously. And
Totally.
then if there's people who I'll just meet, at a dinner or something with the football team, then then I'll reach out to them and talk to them for a little bit. But stuff like that, like there's always opportunity, especially being an athlete too. Everybody's trying to talk to you, and so if you use it the right way and you use it to your advantage to the things that you're interested in outside of the game, then it'll help you out.
Yeah, that's the thing. I think a lot of people can open a lot more doors for themselves if they start knocking. I think a lot of
Yeah.
people don't even think about it, and so that's why it doesn't go anywhere. Whereas if you're a student, you've got the student card that you can play to try to get your foot in the door. If you're an athlete, it's another one. Everyone has these leverage points. You just got to use them. And sometimes it's as
Mhm.
simple as just starting a conversation, much like Emmitt
Yeah.
said, right? It's all about how you start the conversation. Come in trying to provide value, not trying to take. And a lot of people do that, like, what can I get from you? And then they wonder why it doesn't go anywhere. It's like, well, of course, right? It's got to be a give and take kind of thing. But that's
Yeah.
awesome. And I think that's a great message for young people too, because I think a lot of people are very isolated or they feel a lack of purpose. And purpose can be found through exploration. I think you can only really do that through people and
Mhm.
experiences.
And being at my master's program, when I was so I got my master's at A&M, and you just had to be more involved in those classes, and so I was able to build relationships with my classmates, and so there were days where I'm like exhausted. I'm not really trying to talk about football. Like I just almost died like 30 minutes ago, and you're asking me about how practice went. Like, and so just being able to balance that out and change into, I guess, go into a different environment and actually being able to interact in that environment too is also important. And those people also enjoy it when you talk to them. So
That's so fascinating, man. You kind of from probably high school, even I mean, well, especially for you, your entire life, there's been a little bit of some celebrity, right, around you.
mhm.
How has that affected you? Like, I saw I think it was like a short video you guys had dancing to that song Emmitt Smith by the Migos. Talk about growing up in an environment like that, EJ. How did that go?
My parents did a good job on making sure that I was my own person. And so that never really affected me as much as people would think. Um, I would say that it also drove me to, yeah, push me into becoming a person who can build his own legacy and, create his own path. But in terms of how my parents brought me up and the way I was around people, like I always felt like I was everybody else. I never thought highly of myself, like in terms of that extent, like, oh, I'm better than you because of this, and this. And so, yeah, I mean, I feel like I had a fun childhood. I was always in the mix. People don't know who my dad is unless somebody else tells them who my dad is. And so like no, like it happens all the time. And so when people find out, they're like, "Oh," and I'm just like, "Yeah, like okay, yeah, that's my pops, like that's my dad." So, but
You know the funny part about that is, and I think this is where we nipped it in the bud. His freshman year at Jesuit, um, they're playing DeSoto High School here in Dallas, and the announcer, and on the roster they put his whole name. And so I'm sitting in the stands and I'm watching him run the football. And the announcer said, EJ, Emmitt Smith on the carry, Emmitt Smith on the carry, Emmitt Smith on the carry, Emmitt Smith make this play, touchdown, Emmitt Smith. So after I got so sick and tired of hearing it myself, I walked down to Coach Hickman and I said, Coach Hickman, please remove his name from the roster and put EJ Smith on the roster. Because I don't want to
it,
hear my name
it was
again.
my freshman coach, Coach Wonderly.
Yeah, Coach
It
Wonderly.
was my freshman year.
Yeah, I said Coach Wonderly do that. And they did it, and it's been EJ Smith ever since. So he technically, for a long time, he was EJ Smith. Nobody knew who EJ Smith was. And so even if they saw me sitting in the stands, they never made the connection. You had to be in the know to really, truly know.
Fascinating. Fascinating. And that's super cool that you EJ, that you had that being told to you and presented to you and just having open conversations about that because I mean, I can only imagine that eh, big shoes, right, to fill, or at least it's everyone's going to be looking at that, right? So, but like you said, if people also don't know, it makes it way easier too. So, kudos to you for just also just being conscious of different ways to potentially make it a lot easier, right? So, yeah, Ben, where did you want to go from here, man?
Yeah, well, first of all, it's been so much fun chopping it up with both of you. So we appreciate you giving us the opportunity. But I did want to talk about with you guys being so close to the sports that most people watch. For us as fans, at least I've noticed that the gambling influence of con sports has just grown so exponentially.
Right.
Have you guys, as players, seen it impact sports much? And also, I'll leave it there, and then I'll ask a follow-up question based on what you guys say.
EJ, you want to go first?
I'm trying to think. You can if you have an answer to it right now.
I do have an answer because I've seen it evolve. I mean, even in college, what everyone is doing right now, what they call fantasy football, it was birthed back in 87, 88. And so, and I had a couple of teammates that got suspended for playing fantasy football because it was illegal to play fantasy football. They considered it gambling. And now fantasy football is rampant globally. People get to pick their best players or their chosen players, and they get to root for their chosen players and gamble that way. The impact of gambling is when you really have players crossing the line. And that's where the impact of gambling at. Now, you do have players, and I saw this. I think one of the guys in Atlanta got in trouble for betting, not necessarily on himself, but betting on other games, et cetera, et cetera. And that's a no as well because the perceived notion is that he may have some inside information, and the reality is everybody that's gambling out there, somebody's getting inside information from somewhere in the National League because of this and that. I think gambling on sports or in the sport itself, well, I mean, that's one reason why you bring out the lines. That's one reason why you have the spreads. That's another reason why you push out the injury reports and everything else so people can make informed decisions on who they're going to bet on and so forth. So technically, information is coming from places that's readily available and easy accessible right now. If you really want to cartel gambling, then you need to eliminate it from all sports, period. But if you really want to afford people the opportunity to enjoy the fun part of sports, whether it's fantasy football. Fantasy football is just you picking players to perform and then how they perform. That's on the individual players. But the spreads and all the overs and unders and everything else, that's something different. However, gambling is going to be a part of sports for a long, long time. Right now, you're moving into the world of predictive analytics, all of those kind of things, predicting what's going to happen before it actually happens. So you're enticing people to come in and spend money. I'm not a big, huge gambler like that. I'm really not. I gambled enough on the football field with my life, and so even investing is a big gamble if you're doing the wrong things or investing in the wrong things. So at the end of the day, I would just say to each their own. However, it can become a huge problem if you're over your skis and stuff like that. So, like anything else, moderation is the best form. So I can't tell people what to do and what not to do. I just know what I'm going to do. So I got to be in control and be responsible for myself.
Totally fair.
And let others do what they got to do.
Totally, absolutely. And then EJ, did you notice that a lot of obviously I'm sure the players weren't gambling like that, but I've noticed that a lot of young people have really gotten into gambling. Did you notice that much around campus? Was that like a topic of conversation at all?
Oh yes, for sure. it's actually interesting that you guys brought this up because with this new day of NIL and stuff of that nature, athletes are able to gamble outside their sport. And
Okay.
so when you do that, you obviously, if they don't know how to use their money right, then they're just going to use it on gambling. When you have something called Robinhood where you could do both, and on the other side of it, you can actually invest in assets that can grow. So that's just interesting. That's what's interesting to me about the whole situation. I'm part of that.
Yeah, it's so close where like it's the lines are almost blending. It kind of feels the same,
Yeah.
but no one really explains the risk profile attached to gambling versus
Hmm.
stocks. Like, of course, much like you said, Emmett, investing of any kind is taking a degree of risk for sure. But a lot of people are doing these crazy bets where they're doing like 12 leg parlays, and because they think $5 can turn into 5,000, but they don't realize the probability of that is like getting struck by lightning twice, right? So I think there's a big education gap there that we're trying to start the conversation, because I agree with you, Emmett. I'm the same way. I think if you want to do that and you're an adult, go for it. But I do think there's a lot that can be done in terms of educating people onto what they're actually participating in the first place.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's already hard enough when you go to Vegas and you know the house is already always against you. So, and the odds are against you going into the room. So, but the odds been against me my whole entire life to do what I've been able to do. So, at the end of the day, life is a gamble.
That's fair. That's totally fair. Well, we want to be conscious of your guys' time. I know that you guys had an hour for us, so that's coming up on that. So I just want to thank you guys both for the time. It was an absolute pleasure. And Emmett, one of my best friends, is one of your biggest fans, so I would be remiss not to give him a shout out. Zach Helm and his family are watching. 81, how you doing? So yeah, appreciate both of you guys coming on so much. And Keith, I'll throw it to you.
Thank you guys.
No, for sure. Yeah, it's huge appreciation for it, and definitely be in touch about some of the things that we're working on as well, where we are actively trying to help with that gambling problem in particular, and just helping young people to really see where the odds lie,
Mhm.
right? And things like what you're doing with your money, and encouraging people to bet on themselves, right? If life is a gamble, then that's where the best bet can be made.
The best investment is in oneself.
Totally agree, 100%. And EJ, if you have a minute, I would also love to hear about the prep process, what you're going through right now for the draft, because that's something that not many people get to talk about.
I'm
So
gonna
what-
let you guys continue to talk to EJ. I'm gonna move on to my next thing.
sounds great, Emmett. Thank you so
Appreciate
much.
you.
You have a good one.
Love you, son.
Cheers.
Way too.
Awesome. So how's the prep process going for all of that? What does that look like for you? Like, is your time regimented each day? Like, what does the prep process look like?
Yeah. So coming right out of the season, you have about 3 months to prepare for your pro day. If you're invited to the combine, you have about maybe 2.5 months. And so usually if you want to get right into training, you can, but usually guys tend to train for 8 to 10 weeks, 8 to 12 weeks, let's say. And during that time, you're really working on speed work. So really your 40, and then also your agility as well. So your 5, 10, 5, your L drill, and just really trying to fine tune some of the things that you need in order to prepare for your pro day and your combine. And then on top of that, you're also studying some of your plays that you used to run at your old school. You're looking at film, figuring out how to speak and answer the questions the right way when it comes to talking to the coaches or the NFL scouts. And so that's about 3 months. And then post combine or pro day, you're really just waiting. You're training. You may go visit some teams, do some workouts, but you're really just waiting for about a month,
Is
figuring out
that
where you're gonna go and
Yeah,
stuff
it's
of
got
that
to be
nature.
nerve-wracking, I would assume, right? Because there's
Hmm.
so many options on the table.
Yeah, yeah. And so just to answer your question about my schedule, usually I'm working out from about 6 o'clock to, let's say, noon,
Okay.
either just taking care of my body, lifting, running, doing treatment, stuff of that nature. And then in the afternoon, that's where I really try to focus and work on some of my entrepreneurial stuff that I like to do as
Sweet,
well.
man.
So,
We'd love to hear more about that. Like, what are you focusing on from the entrepreneurial side?
well, I'm in the Quantum Wealth Society. So, in that, I'm with Keith. Shout out Keith. That's how we met.
Yep.
And so I'm just learning how to invest my money the right way, specifically when it comes to crypto. On top of that, I'm doing some stuff in the AI space as well. So working on automations to help companies be more efficient. learning how to build my personal brand. So actually sharing some of the knowledge that I've learned within these past 6 years, let's say, on some of the things that I know, and just really trying to fine tune and experience the things that I like outside the game. So going back to what we talked about earlier today, like this is a great time to do that. If I'm interested in real estate, okay, let me learn about real estate. Okay, I see that I learned about real estate. I don't see myself going in that direction. Let's try something else. And so that's really what I'm trying to do. That's really what I'm working on doing right now.
That's awesome, man. That's amazing.
Very cool, man. And you've invested in yourself in plenty of different ways, right? So you also did some stuff with like in the AI world. You were looking a little bit deeper at some of that. Did you join a thing around that as well? Can you talk a little bit about some of the stuff that you've been doing with AI in particular?
Yeah, so I joined this mentorship program. It's called like the AAA Accelerator. Liam Oatley, that's his name. And it was about a 6 month program where you learn about the history of AI, some of the systems that are more specific to what we kind of talk about today when we're just talking about like a chat bot and stuff of that nature. We're actually learning more about RAG systems and just more about the specific terminology on how AI actually works. Um, and so throughout that process, just trying to figure out and learn ways on how to make money utilizing AI and not just using it as a chatbot to answer college questions. And so just doing that, figuring that piece out. So I worked on N8N to help with some of my workflows and struggled in that area, trying to figure that all of that out. So experiencing that piece, wow, just sometimes in the back of your mind you get, okay, like you're an athlete, just worry about playing football. Like why are you trying to learn how to build N8N workflows right now? And so just balancing that out and actually finding that mindset to learn and to experience new things is what I really try to do.
That's sweet, man. It probably is nice to have a little bit of a counterweight, right? Because I'm sure a lot of people,
Mhm.
you can go a little crazy going through that because it's such hyper focus for such a long period of time where you're just waiting in flux, right? So
Yeah.
that's super super cool.
hmm And but just even when it comes to what you're talking about when with the draft process, it's really a good time for you to focus and learn about yourself because after you get picked up, you're working
Hmm.
for the next year, like especially as a rookie. And so this is just a really good time to really relax, understand some of the things that you need to work on, um, and just try to grow. And then once you get picked up, it's on to the next chapter of your life. So
Love it, man.
Fantastic, man. Yeah,
Keith, did you have anything else for EJ?
nothing off the top of my head, man. Definitely always keep doing what you're doing, and I'm here. You know what I'm saying? I'm always here supporting what you're doing. So
I appreciate you,
keep
Keith,
it
and
going.
man. It
Of
was
course,
great to
man.
be on here.
Yeah,
So
we definitely love to have you on again soon. And yeah, good luck with the draft process, man. And like I said before, I hope you end up with my Jaguars. But wherever you end up, they're they'll be lucky to have you. And we'll definitely be rooting you on here on the show for sure all the time.
awesome. Well, I appreciate it.
Of course, man. There's a
Cool,
question from
man.
the chat for
I
you.
would love to stay on here
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
because I don't have anything else to do today. So
Cool.
like,
Then
Word,
that's
man.
awesome. We'll throw the questions. So questions. Yeah. So ask your questions in the chat, guys. We had one here. So what is the hierarchy of your goals right now with everything you're balancing?
mm,
That's a really good one.
I put them in 3 boxes. So my first one is my NFL. So what I'm trying to do to become a better NFL football player or prepare myself to become a better athlete and also pro player. And then also on top of that, how can I build and grow my business? So specifically when it comes to AI, how can I build that piece? And then the third one would be investing my money. So how can I invest my money? Where can I invest it in? What are the strategies that I need in order to not only invest my money, but actually know where my money's going that I have right now in my pocket? So those are the 3 areas that I try to focus on. I read this book called The 12-Week Year
Hmm.
and just learned a lot about how to really organize your days, your weeks, and your months, and being able to actually reach your goals. So I'm trying to do better on some of the things that they teach you in that book.
Love it, man. And so what a sale says, where do you see yourself in 10 years? If you close your eyes and picture the ideal scenario, what does it look like for EJ?
10 years.
It
So
says
I'll be on
5.
I'll
We'll
be
go
on the
5 because
back.
10's pretty far. We'll go 5.
But I like 10.
Okay, 10. Go for it. Go for
I
it.
like 10.
Go for it. Go for it.
I'm on the back end of my NFL career. I've had a great career, but on top of that as well, I've been able to build a business, specifically when it comes to AI.
Cool.
So what I mean is, to be specific, yeah, I'll say I would like to have a couple M's
Let's go.
in my business during that time period.
Amazing.
But I also like to I'll be starting a family as well too.
Cool.
So I'll be financially secure. I'll be able to do the things I wanted to do, live that Rockefeller lifestyle at least a little bit, or sorry, Carnegie lifestyle for a little bit.
Good stuff, man.
But yeah, and then on to new, bigger and better things too. So
That's awesome, man. And a question I got for you when it comes to football: did you always play running back?
yeah, so I played running back, receiver, on defense when I was young, like
Yeah.
DN, linebacker.
Nice.
High school, I was a safety and a corner as well. So
how'd you land
obviously
on?
with
Go
my
ahead.
name,
Yeah.
people wanted me to run that rock. So I really wanted to be a receiver going into high school. I did.
Really?
I wanted to be Julio Jones so bad. Doctor told me I was going to be 6'3". I was like, cool. I have good hands.
You're good
And
to
so
go.
let me try it. Ended up being 5'11", stopped there. Told me you're not going to be a receiver. So I was like, okay, start running the rock. So
That's fair. That's fair. Word, man.
yeah.
Did you play other sports in high school?
Yeah, I ran track. I played basketball. I mean, I love sports. So even before high school, I played baseball, soccer, golf was my first sport.
Mhm.
Golf, really?
Yeah. So
Fascinating.
I started playing golf when I was like 3. What my dad would do is it's like the Tiger Woods origin story. Like I would go and watch my dad play golf, watch him do his swing, and then one day we came home. I took him to the living room. I was like, "Hey, let me show you my golf swing." And then I did it. They put an iron in my hand, and then that was it from there.
That's so cool.
But
Word. How old were you when that song with the Migos came out?
I think it might have been 13.
Bro, what was that like? Like that had to be crazy.
It's funny because we're in the living room, and one of my sisters was like, "Hey, Dad, there's a song about you." And he's like, "What? By who?" And there's like Migos. And he was like, "Who? Migos." He was like, "The Migos." I'm like, "No, Migos." And so we ended up playing the song for him, and he's like, it was a good memory. It's a fun memory. He just started dancing, we just laughed and everything like that.
Man, that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome, man. Complete permeation of culture. That was a big album for them. That was Handsome and Wealthy. Couple of other big tracks. Yeah, Versace. Yeah, man. So that was like forefront.
That's awesome. That's sweet. Well, chat, if y'all have anything else for EJ, ask now before we hop off, or forever hold your peace. And we appreciate you guys. We appreciate you guys tuning in. This is a lot of fun. And how can people connect with you to follow your content? What's your Instagram and all that stuff?
My Instagram is EJ Smith IV, and then my TikTok is EJ Smith Chronicles or EJS Chronicles.
Amazing. We'll have that linked in the description of this as well. So if you're watching the replay, go show EJ some love and see all the stuff that he's working on.
It's so cringe. It's so cringe for me.
That's awesome.
Like
No.
that's something when it comes to building your personal brand. Like for me personally, posting videos, because I like at first, or like you could talk to anybody in my family. I really don't like taking photos,
Mm.
Mm.
and so getting out of my comfort zone in this particular area has been like, I would say, what's the word? A little bit uncomfortable.
I hear
So,
it, man. I hear it. Um,
but it's cool though. At the end of the day, like it really is cool.
and it's really, really good to just get after it, man, because there's just so much that gets to stick with you through
Hmm.
that. Of course, the things that you learn about these platforms as you're continuing to do that, the
Yeah.
audience that you continue to build as you're doing that. And I recognize that you created the new profile to kind of like lower the weight, right, of going out there
Hmm.
and creating content. Super, super smart, right? Because
Yeah.
now you can just experiment. You can just do your thing, right? If people see
Yeah.
it, they see it.
Hmm.
Um, and I was just talking earlier with someone about how like I've had this thing around, like I very similar in terms of I'm not really a social media person, right? Like
Hmm.
I had a time where I basically deleted my Instagram account, didn't use it at all. And got on YouTube, started saying stuff, and then the YouTube channel just takes off. And so I'm like, okay, I guess like this isn't social media, it's like a business.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, it's like right now where things are, Ben and I talk about this all the time. The most successful, most intelligent kind of people in the world, like all of them, are moving towards building out their social media profiles
Hmm.
because of the leverage
Literally.
that you get from it. So as a
Hmm.
technologist, as a futurist, as an entrepreneur, this is actually the place to continue to develop your skills and grow yourself. So it's really
Hmm.
cool that you're, even if it seems minuscule, like that actually is the thing that is a step in a really smart direction.
Oh, it's huge, man. It's everything because even when you hit your 10-year plan and you're absolutely crushing it in the NFL, all that stuff, you being able to do that piece as well gives you an advantage over like everybody else there because now a lot of guys that are athletes are trying to do the content game. And
Hmm.
because they're just like jumping right into it under all that pressure, like you mentioned, Keith, the expectations are so high and they can't deliver. Right. Whereas
Hmm.
now you're learning the game, you're learning how to create a video. And so many people, they're like, oh, I could do this. I could just snap my fingers and make a good video. But there's a lot that goes into it. Right. Like as someone
Yeah.
who's done this professionally for quite a while, I can't tell you how many people have told me, oh, I could do that. I'm like, okay, go. Right. Like, please, you can post for free.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's so amazing that you're going to get these reps in now. And it always feels uncomfortable. But as someone who's done a lot of amazing things like you have, what's on the other side of discomfort is typically people's goals. So I think it's amazing that you have that. And I'll be supporting you. And yeah, I think it'll also help a ton with all your entrepreneurship stuff. Like everything that you
Yeah.
want to start, if you have an
Mhm.
audience and you have distribution, it's a cheat code. Like it's a completely different conversation.
Mhm.
100%.
I have a question for you guys.
Yeah.
So, with this new age of AI, and you're seeing social media being very impactful for the future of people and entrepreneurs, don't you think that some of the, I guess, the AI generated, I guess, people can impact that and actually deter that opportunity from happening?
That's a very good question. Do you want to start, Keith?
Oh, come on, Ben.
Okay. Uh, yeah, certainly. So I'll take this one. So I think that it's always yes and so I think that there will be a lot of AI creators that do become really big, and people don't even realize it. Some people may be cool that it's an AI person, and they're cool with that. But I also do think that there's going to be new things that emerge that are kind of counterculture to that. That's
Mhm.
really why we made this show live, right? Is because I do think that I don't know if AI will ever be able to make a video that feels just like a person. Like I feel like there'll always be something that's a little bit off. I might be wrong in that, but we'll see how it comes to be. But either way, I think people will seek out knowing for sure that it's real. Right. And we talk
Yeah.
about how proof of identity will become a big thing too. I also think there'll be platforms that are emerging that will be kind of the antithesis to what currently exists, right? We live in the era now where it's like post as much as you can and that's rewarded. And we've gotten to this point of abundance where now we're overwhelmed and now we want more quality. And so I think people will get creative. I think new platforms will emerge, but I don't think humans are going anywhere. I think we have this
Yeah.
unrelenting desire for stories from another person. So that's
Yeah.
my 2 cents. And I think it's better than ever because if all the money is flowing into it now, that means you're still early because like they're just waking up to the reality that this is taking place. But I'd love to hear
Yeah.
Keith's thoughts.
Yeah, I mean, everything that you said there makes sense. I would add that another trend that's very likely to happen, like you're saying, Ben, is just like the alternative to it.
Mhm.
So now what becomes more important is that in-person experience. That actually might be something that really arises as well. And so being able to communicate, being able to pull the audience from wherever you do have a presence already as well is super important too. Um, so yeah, and obviously the people that are continuing to be there now and continue to build those connections with people now will have somewhat of a moat as well, right? Because it'll be a lot, maybe it will be a lot harder to get into the game without that. But I don't know. The more that I kind of look at this, it really does come down to being a curator of experience.
Mhm.
And so, whether the tools of AI are there or not, if when you have the skill set of knowing how to capture people's attention and deliver the stories in the way that they want, then that's really the skill set. And that
Mm.
will use tools, don't use tools,
It's
you still can benefit.
endlessly viable, right? That's a human desire. It's not market forced. It's just human beings. And so as long as we're part of the equation, I think that this stuff will still be around and needed. So yeah, and I think that's a big thing. And look how long it also took for most of the world to wake up to what this was going to be too, right? So that's also a big thing too, that moving quickly is always the best thing. I remember when I started on YouTube 8 or 9 years ago, and I thought I was late to social media,
Really?
right? So the best time to start was 10 years ago. The next best is today. And so I think that
Hmm.
that's a fantastic thing. And I do think that, Keith, the point that you said that I'll double down on is a lot of people think that the content piece on like Instagram or TikTok, like that's the business. I think a lot of people should shift their perspective in terms of this is my top of funnel, right? Like this is where I get people into my zone of influence or connection. And then I try to think of ways in which I can nurture that to deeper connections, whether that be a community or a podcast or whatever it may be. Because I think that people are going to really be gravitated towards those experiences because these social
Hmm.
media platforms that are short form, they are good. Like so many people are posting so much that I think it may overwhelm these platforms to a point where people look for other places to go.
Mm.
Super true. I mean, like what happened to Vine, right? Like it got like overly saturated with ads at the time is what it was, and like that's kind of what these AIs would end up being, right? It would probably end up feeling the exact same way.
That's what, yeah,
That's
Keith
what
and I
it's
have.
starting to feel like right now.
Yeah.
That's, yeah. So Keith,
Literally, like any kind of digital product, this is on Instagram.
oh, for
Bunch.
sure.
And then when you go to TikTok, you've seen people sell a bunch of things.
Yeah.
Well, because
So
if
it's
we've
a
talked
good
about this
point.
so much on the show where creating a story or a video that gets views, it is a skill, right? And so then if you put these tools into people that are just better at this, it's like me trying to tackle you in football. Like I'm going to lose. Do you know what I'm saying? And so
Yeah.
unfortunately, there's a lot of marketers out there who have been studying psychology for a very long time that just do this to make money. And then therein
Hmm.
goes the whole beauty of what the platforms were. So I do think that
Hmm.
people will want something different for sure. So I think that authentic connection will never go away, in my opinion.
Hmm. Okay. I feel like YouTube is a good example of what you're talking about. The way
Totally.
that they set up their shorts and then you could click and then actually see like a podcast or something of that nature.
Totally.
I feel like they're ahead of the game when it comes to that.
Oh, 100%. And I also think that people are starting to wake up to the fact that short form social media platforms are not the best in a lot of cases.
Yeah.
They're Keith, looks like you got something.
I'm just thinking about the whole incentive structure, right?
Yeah.
Because
Mm.
what ends up happening is, like, even for myself, you come into the game pure heart. Like, let me just do this. Like, this is the only thing that I care about. Like, let me just put some messages out there. And then what happens is you get monetized,
Hmm.
and then everything changes
Totally.
because okay, I still want to do this. I still care about this, but now it's like, oh well, how do I get as much exposure as possible? How
And
do I
if you
make as much money as I can?
and if you
You
don't
know?
do, yeah, exactly. If you don't do that, you're literally leaving money on the table.
Right, right. So there's something about that part of it too, is like the seeking of the views being the way to make the money versus, and I guess maybe some streaming platforms have it a little bit differently to some degree, where it's like the connection that you build is more important than like more and more people seeing you. So I don't know. There's something around that incentive mechanism that would probably need to change for a new platform to properly emerge and do it properly. But yeah, that's just what was on my mind.
No, that's awesome, man. Yeah, I think that there's just so much, and I think that the depth of connection that made social media so awesome when there was just things like YouTube was the fact that you saw something that you hadn't seen before, but you could truly experience it. With now
Mhm.
with these 60-second clips, you're experiencing so much, but you're not really experiencing any of it. So you leave kind of like tired. Do you know what I mean? Like you don't feel as energized when I scroll through my timeline on Twitter or TikTok, let's say, I leave being like, whoa, that was a lot. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And so I do think that
Mhm.
people will want different experiences.
Do you think so? You think it would go around back to long form content?
I personally, my thesis on this is that absolutely, because I think that there will be enough studies that come out to the negative consequences of mass short form consumption where it'll become, I'm already seeing this happen play out, Keith, where like the younger generation that is like brain rotted, I'm saying in air quotes, they've literally started to symbolize long form content and their ability to have an attention span as a status symbol, right?
Wow.
And so how quickly does that happen where now, right now, the massive con that we have for the show is the fact that the content is very long. But as soon as people become educated in terms of like the fact that that's a good thing, the entire dynamics change. So I think that the whole younger generation, like people, Keith, I feel like you and I were kind of like the last, and I'm older than you, so maybe just me, whatever. But you're wise for your age too. But we were the cutoff where everybody below me doesn't even think about podcasts. Like oftentimes, like they don't, and even the people in my own life that are younger, like my little sister, she didn't really think about podcasts until I told her about, oh, have you seen these podcasts? Like they only typically watch clips from the podcast, but they don't come and watch the actual show.
Right. That's an interesting thought too. Dang, that's crazy to think about, dude, because the podcast was such a gift.
Oh,
it is such a gift.
Dude, it's the best. It is the ultimate cheat code, man, because it's like a book, but I actually think it's better than a book in a lot of ways because a book is typically down a set of rails, right? It's like a train. Whereas this is like a car. So if something comes up, I can turn it and I go this way and I go this way. So I absolutely love podcasts.
Yeah.
No, for sure. That's a good point.
But I'm excited for your journey, man. I'm super excited. I'll be watching how that all goes down and all the good stuff coming your way, man. You deserve it. You've got a great head on your shoulders, and we appreciate the time that you've given us, man.
I appreciate you guys for having me come on here and talk. It was great. I had a great time.
It was awesome, dude. Definitely stay in touch. And guys, if you have anything else in the chat, please let us know before we wrap up today. I don't think we have any news or memes after, do we, Keith?
I got a little something, you know.
Okay, then why don't we do it with EJ then?
Yeah,
if you're down,
if you got time, you got time.
I'm here.
Cool,
man.
Let's go through.
So yesterday was an interesting day. We had the SEC come out and eliminate the pattern day trading rule and replaced it with a new intraday margin system. We can already see the meme that kind of comes off of this, which is hilarious. So I think it was since 2001, the SEC made it to where you had to have $25,000 in your account to be able to go in and out of 3 different trades within a 5-day period. And in some ways, right, for a lot of people, I mean, it just came up in my life. It's come up in the life of a lot of people that want to get into day trading. It's like, yo, like I don't have $25,000. Like, how am I going to do this if I want to start to learn this game? And so this coming down and allowing people who have always wanted to participate in this game, they now have a way to do it. Now, the thing that's so interesting about this, though, let me get real for a second.
Yeah, please.
There's always been a way around the pattern day trading rule, which is by using the futures market first and foremost, right? The futures market has none of that. And it's more capital efficient, meaning you get more buying power for each dollar that you put into the system anyways. Now, what that requires is having maybe a little bit of sophistication to understand, well, that you can do that this even exists, that there's another market here where you can actually just set up, put a few $100 in this account and play around and learn, trade these futures markets. But anyways, but when it comes to this pattern day trading rule, the number one thing that this is going to allow is people to trade in the options market. Okay, this is what people are doing. It's 0 DTE options, which means 0 day to expiry. It means you put a bet down in the day, and by the end of the day, you figure out if you won or you lost. And I put out a short about this, like these options contracts, you literally have to know Greek.
Yeah, I saw it in the video. Yeah.
To be able to really fully understand how they work. And there's the gamma, the vega, the theta, and all this stuff that people are running models, right? They're running computers to be able to compute how to trade these instruments. And it's very clear that there's not a lot of education around how these things actually work. There's just people who, like Robin Hood, I'll say your name, my bad, just give you like this like game like interface to come in and place these trades. It's like, listen, I'm all for open markets. I legitimately believe that there should be a way for anybody to be able to do this. What I think the SEC continues to fail to do is to just give people a test. Like, just create a test.
That's great.
It's BS, bro. Like, I'm sorry, because it's actually really messed up.
No, it's can ruin lives.
It's so messed up, dude. Even for someone who wants to come in and become a stockbroker, I have my license as a stockbroker.
Yes.
You can't get into that position unless you are chosen, essentially, until you are hired by a firm.
Wow.
That allows you to come in and participate in that game and take the test. And it's just like, dude, that's crap. Like the test is being administered by the SEC, by FINRA. So you don't need the firm for that. Like, let people take the test, and if they're qualified, then they can then go and get the job. So it's the same thing on both sides. Either to be able to invest, you need $1 million net worth to invest in private deals, or $200,000 and $300,000 in household income. And it's just like, bro, like there are so many people who would otherwise have access to OpenAI, Anthropic, all this stuff, if they just allow people to take a test to prove their aptitude as an investor. And this instead is what they've done. They've just said, no, well, it's fine. We'll just drop the $25,000 requirement to be able to day trade, and then anybody can do it.
It's a great headline that leads to mass extraction, but you can paint it altruistically, right? Like, we're letting the little guy play.
100%, man.
Yeah, it's messed up. But I'm glad you speak with such passion on that subject, because I think a lot of people just read the headline and then they're like, this is good, right? We want this. And they don't realize everything attached to it.
Yeah, it's interesting because when I saw it, my first reaction was, oh, I remember that being an issue for me. But then I thought to myself, well, why is it not an issue for me now? It's because I learned.
You figured it out.
What the different ways to do this were.
Yeah.
So anyways.
That's totally fair, man.
Moving forward, we had Allbirds pivoting. They made a big pivot.
This shit's crazy, dude.
So this is the shoe company that has now made a bizarre pivot to AI, and in that added $127 million in value overnight, essentially, with this announcement. So let me show you what that looks like on the chart here.
Oh my God, that's crazy.
200% up after announcing they are pivoting from shoes to AI. And in particular, what I saw is that so they are selling their brand and footwear assets and renaming itself to Newbird AI, and using a new $50 million convertible facility to pivot into AI compute infrastructure by buying GPUs. Going from selling wool sneakers to chasing AI compute might be one of the wildest pivots in this cycle.
They must have just had a lot of cash sitting around.
That's a crazy pivot.
I think what happened was they got acquired here.
Okay.
Yeah. And with that led to them having the cash to do something like this and pursue this instead. I think that's what happened. I'm pretty sure.
And so do you think this was just like a way to expedite being a public company?
Yeah, it's like a SPAC. Like that's pretty much what I'm. Yeah. Yep. Let me do a little bit more, because basically the company was sold for, I think it was $39 million. Yeah, so they've sold their intellectual property and other assets for $39 million. So that's how they're raising the cash.
Got it.
And essentially are SPACing, right, to go and acquire these GPUs.
Okay, so that's the story.
Yep.
That's fascinating.
Yep.
Yeah, I said in the video that I made about it that this certainly seems like a bubble indicator to me. but who knows?
EJ, I want to get your thoughts on this, and then I'll tell my story about the book that I was talking about earlier.
What crazy times that we're in. like just the fact that happened. I'm just trying to figure out like who's investing in something like that so early. Especially with that pivot too.
It's probably insiders.
Right.
500% is crazy.
Yeah, and so like
I don't think if Nike did
that's actually one of the first memes that came up.
Nike GPUs. Just run it.
Just run
it. Has Nike considered pivoting from shoes to data centers?
They can't see your screen. Riverside's glitching out. Can y'all?
Oh no!
It's not your fault. It's
It's
Riverside. It's getting stuck small. Yeah, it won't make it bigger.
Interesting.
Oh, did that fix it?
I see it just fine. Do you see it, DJ?
Is it supposed to be bigger than this?
Bigger than us? Yeah.
Okay, yeah, no, it's smaller right now
Hmm.
on my screen.
It's still small, eh?
Interesting.
Text
Whale.
fighting us.
That's funny.
But yep. So that's one thing that came out over the past 24 that we had to share. Oh, and yeah, what I was gonna say is A Random Walk Down Wall Street. Great book. In the beginning, it tells about all the biggest bubbles in history. Starts modern day around past the Great Depression, the 1960s or so, with the electronics boom. What was happening at the time was a bunch of companies. Electronics was a big thing, right? This is kind of like the very beginnings of like the concept of a computer or like automation and stuff in certain ways. And Radio Shack, think stuff like that. And what happened was every company that was raising money or going public or that was already public, what they do, they changed their name to be something electronics. And that would add to their valuation immediately overnight. They'd be trading at a higher multiple as soon as they changed their name. Another stat that came from the book was like, even if the company just had a word in the name that people didn't know what it was, that would lead to a higher multiple for the company.
We never learn, eh?
And then it fast forwards to .com situation where the same exact thing happened. You put .com on the end of your name, pets.com.
Pets.com. That's always the one. They get mutilated, man. They're always the first one that comes up.
Huge valuation boost, and then the end. And so yeah, it's interesting. Like this is literally that.
Yeah. Today.
Yep, so
wow,
that's that one. Moving forward, we had this one's a huge, interesting thing for the crypto people. So Kevin Warsh, there's a lot of drama here about the new Fed chair in the United States. And he's on the block. He's doing his Senate hearings right now. And with that, he had to submit his holdings. And in these holdings, Fed pick Kevin Warsh discloses investments in a slew of crypto firms, ladies and gentlemen. Warsh. And Perry 8888 _ said Kevin Warsh owns 30 plus crypto projects and you're bearish. The next Fed chair's disclosure includes Solana, Optimism, Blast, Compound, DYDX, Polychain, Scalar Capital, Lightning Network, Lighter. The next Fed chair is more degen than you.
Man, it seems like Solana's making the right friends, dude.
Dang, yeah. Fed chair incoming and Nikita.
Yeah, it's still not sharing the screen properly.
Oh, that sucks.
Are the links on our doc?
Yes, they are. They are.
Okay, well, I can try to share it.
I'll highlight where I'm at right now.
Oh, whoops! I'm on the wrong doc here. Let me go find it.
You're on the wrong doc.
I was on the one that Asipa prepared for us.
Oh, Asipa coming through with that doc.
Producer Asipa in the background. Let's give him some love today too.
Oh yeah.
Say what up in the chat to producer Asipa, also known AKA Sharp. I still don't know the origin behind the Sharp nickname. I want to talk to him about.
Yeah, we definitely gotta get the lore on that.
It's probably
Put the
some
real
good
doc
stuff
in the studio chat.
Appreciate you. Okay.
But also shout out to Robbie J. Davis holding the chat down as well.
RD
we always appreciate you.
Is an absolute legend. Seriously, one of the best people ever. Okay, here we are. I have now acquired it. So which one am I showing? The worst one or Bitcoin developers?
The one that I'm on, Bitcoin developers.
Got it. Okay.
Oh, and this is going hard. You sent me one, Ben, because of
Charles.
Yeah, Charles started going in about this as well.
It's gonna be some good tea, man. I'm using a different browser. I don't know if this will work.
This man's got too many browsers.
Okay, let's see. Can you guys see my screen?
Yeah, it looks good for me.
Chat, how we doing? Can y'all see it?
So I'll read it off.
Cool.
Bitcoin developers have proposed BIP 361 to freeze early Bitcoin addresses that have quantum vulnerabilities. This includes Satoshi wallets and other OG dormant wallets from the 2020.
It's still small?
From the 2010 era.
Okay, so yeah, whatever. We won't share the screen anymore.
Well, it says this is a big step, and these wallets hold over 4 million BTC and are at a high risk from future quantum computing attacks. And so the internet's going crazy about this.
I wish we could share our screen.
Yeah, I mean, wow, because I mean, Charles, man, he's going in and he rips and he's ripping the Bitcoin maximalists.
Bro, if he gets proven to be right, He's gonna go so nuts, man. But
Yeah.
it's gonna be super interesting to see if y'all want some information on terms of what's going on with all these things that Keith was just describing. A place that you can go to learn more about it is Charles's most recent stream. I think it was today.
Mhm.
Because he holds back no punches, man. He's like, you guys weren't thinking about this, were you? The quantum threat is real. So yeah, I definitely recommend going to check that out. And it's definitely something to keep an eye on, right? Because Keith, we've had on Jeff Booth before, and I still want to have that debate so
Oh
bad.
man, like
I
that
want
was
so
literally
bad.
perfect, you know.
I know. But super interesting stuff.
So yeah, so to further elaborate a little bit, like Bitcoin was first gen crypto technology. So in that, it's a blockchain through and through. There's no thoughts about this concept of on-chain governance, which is what Charles talks about. It's not a DAO. It's not a decentralized thing in that regard. You have to submit these proposals. If everyone agrees to update the network, they do. If they don't agree, okay, what happens if people don't agree on how they want to update the network is you have to have that's funny tale.
That's so
You have to have a hard fork or a fork of
Mhm.
the ecosystem, right? So you basically have a split of the chain. There's some people that say, "Hey, I want to go this way." You have some people that go this way. It's like a civil war in a sense, right? Like the country breaks off into two different lanes,
And this has happened before, right?
and it has happened before. So Bitcoin Cash exists because of this idea. Bitcoin Satoshi's vision exists because of these forks that have happened earlier on in the network's existence. And it's, I'm sure Charles would say, like, it's kind of a function of how the entire thing works. Like, if there's an disagreement, there will be a fork, and this could continue to happen over and over throughout time. It's a real potential problem. And it's funny because Charles, he's like you said, he holds no punches. And basically, what he's calling out is he's like, you guys basically got bought out by the finance guys. You got bought out by Larry Fink, is pretty much who he calls out on the thing. Because
Asipa
it's
fixed
like,
it. Asipa fixed
okay,
it.
fire.
Way to go, Asipa. Producer
Let's go.
Asipa.
That's what we need. So yeah, so he's like, look, you guys got all happy about, these big finance companies coming in, but now they have influence over your decision making, and if they want to split the chain and protect themselves from the quantum threat, then that's what's going to happen. It's kind of what he's saying. So very interesting stuff.
Because we did talk about it. We talked about it briefly with Jeff because you did bring this up kind of, and he's like, he did kind of undersell the significance of what that would create.
100%. I still don't fully understand. I mean, he's got some like crazy thoughts that you sent to me a while back around why it doesn't matter. I'm not able to fully wrap my head around what he's saying. And I think part of it has to do with this idea that like he made it sound so super like deep, technical, like quantum level reality of like Bitcoin collapses into a single state or something like that, right? And so, but what I think like logically it means is that okay, you hack the network, and then the next day everyone just moves to a new network. You know what I mean? Like everyone just like goes back to the original thing and like redoes it is kind of how I look at what he's basically trying to say. But yeah, it definitely beats me. This is something that's coming up. Charles definitely feels very strongly about the idea that this is an inevitable problem.
Yeah, that was, I guess, him being forward thinking. That was his whole thesis for building Cardano in the first place, was like for these kinds of things. And that's also created a lot of problems because to be running in the way that they are, like having decentralized governance, it's like people always think it should be simple, like, oh yeah, like it should work like this, but in execution it's an incredibly complex task to get that many people to coordinate together.
For sure. And to talk about the alternative here too, let's imagine that instead of having to submit proposals to like the open source code side of things to be able to create the fork, you actually can do this on the network itself.
Yes.
You can submit proposals and vote on them with the tokens you have on the network.
Wildly different.
So very, very different scenario. And as you said, probably something that Cardano and Charles and them thought about.
Yeah. And a lot of the things that they did do, they may age like fine wine. We'll see how it all goes, but it'll be great TV at the very least.
At the very least. You want to move on to that next piece here from Anthropic.
Yeah, we'll let Asipa throw it out there because it seems like
cool.
he's Sharp's the only one who can figure it out.
Asipa, you are in control, my friend. All right. So just in Anthropic has actually um, begun mandatory KYC checks for some users of Claude.
Mm,
Can you imagine that happening so fast? So KYC, know your customer, essentially people having to verify their identity to be able to use Claude.
interesting.
Hmm.
It's
EJ,
not very shocking.
any thoughts on
Yeah.
that, EJ? Would you give
Wow.
Claude your ID? That's a no.
If you gotta think that long, the answer is no.
I'm trying to connect it to how we do when it comes to giving our information to like brokerages to confirm,
Mhm.
True.
our verification as well.
Yeah.
Especially because if you're building projects off of this, I can see why they're trying to do that, but also kind of like the other side of it too is like you have my information,
Mhm.
so it's interesting.
That's super funny.
Is it necessary? That's what I'm asking.
Yeah. Yeah. I could see from the legal side. I mean, if you're the United States, or any country, like we 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 got to figure out decentralized identity immediately,
Mhm.
right?
Immediately. I'm
Because
surprised
that's bad.
Anthropic even did something like this, based off
Right.
of what the CEO has talked about in the past.
Yeah. Yeah.
Exactly.
So
Yeah. It'll be interesting
Yeah.
to see who's able to crack that because they're trying to do that whole like that scary eye thing in the malls. You've seen that, Keith?
No, in
For
the
like the
mall.
proof of human thing.
Oh, the orb.
Yes. That's
oh yes, I've
that's
seen
one
that.
thing that people are pitching that like, could potentially be a tech for that as well. But yeah, it's a serious problem.
Jeez. So yeah. So the conundrum there, I didn't really think about it like that until you said it. EJ's like, obviously, you're gonna have the more powerful these tools get, the more someone can just use it as a weapon, right? So you might, just like you would when you go to the gun store and you buy a gun, you got to get your name registered, all that stuff. It gets
That's
put in the
very true.
database.
Yeah.
And but the other side of this is like, well, what if the people that are also selling the weapon are the weapon? You know what I'm saying? What if they are also the person that you need to watch out for giving your
Yeah.
ID to?
Yeah. Very fair point here too. Hard reset. Like they've got everything on us anyways. So we're already cooked.
Yeah, I get it, man. I get it. But dang, right up into the same database. Like, come on,
Yeah.
man.
Just
Have
don't even
you
try to hide it.
seen how they use AI to, um, I guess, target someone's heartbeat?
Mm,
No.
I saw it could be fake, but I saw a short about it, and I was like, wow, can't believe that's even possible.
The discoveries that will happen through this tech is just so crazy because a lot of the things were possible, but they weren't economically viable. And so great minds
Mhm.
didn't touch the problem, right? So that's
Yeah.
also what people aren't realizing about AI is it's not necessarily just the fact that exponentials happen because of the tech. It's how many people that are really smart can now tackle different problems and do so faster. That's the
Yeah,
crazy part.
it's a
that's
good
super
point.
real. That's super
It's a
real.
good point.
See what made through your phone camera.
It also it also ties into that idea of like, don't they have everything on us already? Because so we talked about the commercially available information thing that the government released in 2022, where they basically said, well, the government technically isn't allowed to spy on you, but they can buy
Buy
that
the
information
data.
from someone else.
That's crazy, man.
So it's like, all right, well, at least they've got to in some way come up with the money. You know
Yes.
what I'm saying? To be able to do it.
But if Jeff Booth's thesis were to come true, that would potentially provide an opportunity for a lot of these systems and rules to be rewritten, right?
And
Because
what part of his thesis?
well, if Bitcoin becomes the
Like, it's just the answer.
yeah, right, where then because that's really where we're at right now. Like so many of these things happen, nobody actually wants them to happen, but the bureaucracy around them is the control and the protection from it, right? So until someone looks at the entire thing is like, okay, we have the opportunity to rewrite things, you can't. It's so hard.
Yeah.
Do you think that we would ever be able to own our own data?
Keith talks about that a lot about how we should get paid for our data.
Yeah. I mean, I think with things like blockchains and distributed ledger technology, eventually what's going to happen is you're just going to have to compete. Same way with like Nostr being a platform that essentially is like um, just lowering the barrier. When software becomes free, which distributed ledger technology essentially creates that push towards the zero marginal cost, right?
Mhm.
Because everyone's providing their own resources to the network, and therefore the marginal cost goes to zero essentially.
Mhm.
And so with that, um, the whole business models will also take a similar approach. Like somebody's going to say, all right, well, we've got Facebook. We don't have their servers. We've all got our own servers. So we don't need to charge 30%, 20%, whatever that we're charging people to advertise or whatever it is on the network. Same thing for YouTube. Like instead of charging 45%
Mhm.
to the creators, like we'll charge 20%. And then somebody comes up with an even more efficient way of distributing the network. And it's like, oh, we'll do 10% and then 5%. And then eventually it's just like, well, just give the money to the guy who made it.
Yeah, that's a very good point. We were actually having like similar conversations this morning, and I agree with that. But the switching costs of getting the users, like the network effect of a lot of this stuff, is the difficult part. It's also why a lot of people like point at crypto projects and they're like, "Oh, this is worthless." It's like in
Mm,
the age of the internet where everything is unlimited, if you can get thousands of people to agree on something, that in and of itself is rare and very valuable,
mm-hmm,
right?
mm-hmm.
So that's something that people don't consider enough either. But yeah, I think a lot of the rules when it comes to data are going to be rewritten because I don't think we all didn't realize how much the data is impactful, right?
Yeah.
Because people couldn't extrapolate out to realize, okay, they're building AI. Like people couldn't conceive that. And so now seeing it in practice of how good it is, like look at the algorithms that conduct our entire behavior.
It's also just so invisible, right? Like
Yes.
imagine all of your intellectual property and the value of that, but you don't see that, right? You don't wear that.
What do you mean?
Like as the user of these platforms, I know when I've got a dollar in my pocket because it's a dollar bill that's in my pocket. I
Okay.
know when I've got a gold bar because it's a gold bar that's in my hand.
It's
I
tangible.
don't know how valuable the information that I have in my head for one is, and also the information of like where I am, what I'm doing with my money, the meta data of it all is not something that's obvious to me. Like I
Mm,
don't understand that that's valuable. It's just I'm just living my life, bro. What difference
Mhm.
do I care if someone has my data or not?
got
Right.
it.
So it's just been obfuscated from how valuable it really it just naturally is obfuscated. You don't see it, you know.
Yes, it's invisible.
Yeah.
The
No, it's
book Life After Google talks about that piece of like the importance of actually having ownership of your data and being able to monetize your data.
mm,
So
that looks cool. I'll have to
Fantastic.
check
Well,
that
you
out.
yeah,
dropping the gems.
yeah, George by George Gallagher.
Yeah, I see it here. Yeah, the chat always loves book recommendations, so that's a good one.
Okay,
People are
so
gonna
yeah,
they're gonna rush
there
to
you
add
go.
that to their cart.
Fantastic. Fantastic. I think that's the news we have. We got some reactions to some stuff.
Let's hit us with it.
Let's go sharp. Toss us up the first one we had. And I guess you'll have to play it for us as well.
Yeah, we're useless out here. Without Sharp, we're cooked. You still there? There we go.
A parking space in downtown Los Angeles costs about $25 an hour, meaning that a real person with thoughts and feelings who's capable of suffering, working a minimum wage job, makes less than a fucking parking space. A parking space in
Man, I think about that shit all the time. Whenever I'm in a fortunate position where like I don't have to worry about every dollar that I spend, but when I go buy something where it's like 14 bucks and then I think about what minimum wage, I'm like, this is an hour of someone's time to buy this item. That's crazy.
It's a
Dog.
wild perspective.
And it's really how we gotta look at this, right? Like I try to I've been trying to preach to someone about how important it is to have a job at a young age or like have like a normal job at some point in your life to recognize that people legitimately spend an hour of their time making the kind of money that's being made out there. And
Yeah.
like I want you to understand that's one option, right, with your life is to spend an hour making 14 bucks
Mm-hmm.
or you get your butt in gear and you figure out something else.
people that are stuck on that, it's always a hard conversation because I have this all the time with friends, family, people that are in that situation, because they couldn't fathom that I would be willing to work for a long period of time for free. Right. So like they couldn't grasp that. They're like, I only get paid $14 per hour. Why would you spend hundreds or thousands of hours not getting paid, period?
Right.
And I was like, because I could understand that my knowledge gap would be where all the money was. And so I did that for a long enough period of time. You did that. Like you have to do that, unfortunately, because the real valuable thing is it teaches you what to learn. A lot of people who don't value education, it's because they've only been forced to learn very specific things and they know they're useless. So people just associate like, oh, learning is useless, which is such a detriment. But yeah, this is fascinating. I'm sure in LA, even crazier.
$25 an hour. Yeah,
that's
crazy.
That's not too far off. Like I live in Toronto and it's pretty damn crazy here for parking too.
I could see it. I could see that being crazy like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, dude, to park for an hour. Like,
what a sale says, I think I'm buying a parking lot after this discussion. Awesome.
Run it up.
Man, the chat's so good.
Let's pull up that next one, Sharp. Yeah, this was making some waves across the internet.
Cool.
It was essentially, man, I mean, this is something we talk about all the time here. All the time. What you got for us, Sharp? You still there?
It's probably just pulling it up. Pull up at the after party. You're good, man. Here we go.
Expensive to raise a child.
How expensive?
It's gone up 30%, actually, nearly 30% over the past 3 years. It costs more than $300,000 to raise a child in the United States nowadays.
So nearly, it's all about where you live. And the most expensive places are Hawaii, Maryland, and Massachusetts. Okay. Of course, the South, you get a break. $17,000 in Mississippi, Alabama, $18,000 in South Dakota, $18,000.
So that's over the course of 18 years,
Correct.
Right?
For the first 5 years.
Right, but since 2023, they say the cost of raising a kid is up 27%. So just so you know, just keep track. They will pay you back, right? If you just keep that invoice.
Do y'all think that most of this, though, is coming from the child care costs that is impacting?
Gosh, everything is so expensive. And what happens when you have a child is no longer you buying things for yourself. Right. Everything goes to that child, and you think about them constantly. It's expensive to raise a child.
So, and Julian Dory here said, when having children becomes a financial decision, civilization fails. And I just thought to myself, like, well, that's the only thing it's ever been my entire life, right? That's the only way that I've ever looked at that, you know?
Yeah. I think if it's a planned one, then typically that's what it comes down to for sure, right? Like if it truly was a decision, I think, but now it's like people are saying out loud, we're not because of this. You know what I'm saying? It's become a very big topic of conversation. Like, I know that there's not many people that are my age that there was a wave right after COVID where a lot of people had kids, probably because there was nothing else going on. But like since that point happened, I've seen a pretty big drop off of the amount of people that were my age having kids.
I'm sure, man. Yeah. I mean, yeah, that's just the only lens through which I've ever looked at it. It's just like, is there any chance that I would, like, I wouldn't even, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm like, yes, like it literally it impacts the entire way that I move through the world. Like, I don't care about certain things because like, I know that that's not even on the radar.
Yeah, it's not even in your zone of consciousness. Yeah. Matthew, this is awesome. He said, when even the newscasters, assuming salaried, et cetera, are saying everything is expensive, you know it's starting to kick off. Another thing that we repeat all the time, I don't think, like, unless you're really, really wealthy, everyone is feeling the crunch in so many ways. And it's such a topic of conversation now. So it's, something's got to break at some point.
Yeah, Sharp. Let's pull up that next piece here about the previous president of the United States.
I don't think I saw this one, so I'm excited to see.
Oh man, you missed this. This was
good.
Also making waves. It's making waves, man.
Let's go.
And by the way, I always want to
Still
turn around.
For me.
Barack, what are you doing? Come here. Come here. Come here.
I can't see it. Can you see it, Keith?
I can, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I can see it as well.
Cool. It's just me.
I feel like he should be standing on the right and I should be standing on the left. Hey, you done this look at Barack? Anyway, as I say, you've done good, fella.
Well, I tried.
Oh
So
my
Ben,
God.
were you able to
I couldn't
see?
I couldn't see it. It's a loading screen for me.
Oh, that sucks.
Oh, I'm sorry, Ben.
Was it bad or good?
It was bad.
So Joe Biden essentially is here and he's at making a speech somewhere and he calls back and he's like, Barack Obama here. I've been wanting to say this the whole time. We got Barack Obama over here, and it's just this black guy who works as a trustee for the university.
Was he trolling or was he serious?
He was joking, I guess, but
That's
just,
a messed up joke.
Yeah, it was just like, all right. And honestly, the internet was a little bit torn. Some people were like, oh, he kind of looks a little bit like Obama. And then other people were like, bro, that's crazy.
Wow.
But yeah, so that happened yesterday.
Crazy.
Next piece. I didn't see this one that you posted, Sharp. But I think this is a good one. Yeah, because Ben sent me this. So pull that up, Sharp, the one with Professor Chang. Yep, we had Ben sent me this in the middle of my day. He was like, dude, check out Professor Chang on the Bitcoin. You know what I'm saying? He's talking Bitcoin.
Yeah, that's been a recurring thing that you can scroll back. I've said it on multiple shows that his opinions on Bitcoin are interesting to me.
So the moment people recognize that this is a CIA operation, people won't put their money into blockchain. People won't put their money into Bitcoin. They'll be like, I mean, why would I do that? You have to ask yourself this question: where are the blockchain servers located? Right? Because I imagine if you're able to control the hardware, you can also control the software. I don't care what they tell me about open source and all that. I want to know where the databases are, where the servers are physically. So the moment people recognize that this is a CIA operation, people won't put their money into blockchain. People won't put their money into.
So this is what I found so fascinating, and I actually sent that to you yesterday, Keith. And I just said, like, this is a question that Google could have solved. So that's why I went to there. For the dude who's this smart, it was hard for me to understand how that would be his perspective when he clearly Googles or ChatGPTs or whatever it is and finds information all the time. So I don't get why he was like so mystified by decentralized computing is like a thing.
Two things on this. Two things I got. One of them, and you did say this in your voice note to me too, Ben, was like, well, maybe what he's saying is that it's centralized. Like maybe that's his critique.
Which is a fair point. You could argue that.
And I think that's super fair because he's also in China, and if he has seen anything, then he would know that that's exactly how it goes down. The governments own those servers. You know what I'm saying? And so that could be what he's saying here for one. But the other critique to what I would, or just the other second order effect of something like that I would come up with is like, okay, so why would people be using Bitcoin in the first place? The answer is because the system's broken.
Yes.
Right. So there needs to be some sort of an answer. And so if Bitcoin is not the answer, Professor Chang, then what would come next?
Yes.
Would be the question that I would have.
And is it technically possible for this reality to exist that we're talking about, for one? And then two, what was I going to say? Oh, no, I lost it. It was pretty good. It'll come back to me, but it was on the Jiang stuff where it was something that he also says about crypto that, oh yeah, here it was. He said, for why it was ridiculous, he said, who would make this thing and then like not tell anyone they made it? I'm like, what? Obviously they would take you down. Like if you thought about that for 2 seconds, people can't know it's yours because then we talked about this very early in the show where I was like, if you thought about people and you ran through even like 2 or 3 thought exercises of like anybody you'd realize you can't know who this is.
Right.
It's impossible because there's somebody you can take down. Everybody is hateable, right? So you can always come at them. How do you come at something that doesn't exist? You try to create these concepts and all these things, but it could never have been someone who talked about it. So for him saying an argument against it is the fact that they didn't reveal themselves, I think that's also pretty short-sighted too.
Super fair.
Because
super fair.
You'd be cooked. You'd be dead so fast, man. Like there's no way.
Yeah. Yeah, it'd be cool to have that full conversation with him
Oh, I would
because
love that.
either he doesn't know or he's got his own ideas that he just would like to stick to.
And we're all spitballing too, right?
Yeah.
So who knows? But I would love to have him on the show. We definitely will at some point, I'm sure. But
Yeah.
yeah, I've been watching his stuff. He actually did some more streams with Sneeko. Did you see Sneeko get punched in the street?
I did.
I seen that.
This guy just got
What did you think of
clocked.
that, EJ?
There's no way in New York that's what they do in New York. I've never been to New York. I've never been to New York. There's no way.
Bro, there are
Shit
some
like that.
there are some
yeah.
people like that in New York, man.
Oh yeah. I mean, he just got caught on camera. Like that's happening all day in New York.
Bro, I was in like Times Square with my girlfriend, and then there's this one guy who kept bugging us, and then he basically like showed me his gun because I wouldn't take a picture of him. I was like,
oh my
yo,
God.
this is crazy.
Holy. Oh my God.
People are different there, man. That's like any
Wow.
big city. You kind of go a
That's
little bit
crazy.
stir crazy. But yeah, New York's definitely got that. Toronto here, we've got tons of that stuff too. So yeah.
Bro, this man brandished his firearm to get you to take a picture of
Bro,
him?
he's like, I was trying to take a picture of my girlfriend because she was in front of her workplace. And I was like, okay, whatever, we're taking a picture. And then he's like, oh, like joking around, take a picture of me. And I'm like, no, man, like I'm taking a picture for LinkedIn. Like, get out of here, bro. You know what I'm saying? And then he like wouldn't let it go. And then he like pulls it up his shirt, being like, and then he points to the sign that said like no guns. And I'm like, okay, bro, you're gonna shoot me over this? Like, that's crazy.
Bro, New York is unreal.
They're different, man. If I hadn't lived in Toronto for a few years, like a big city, I would have been probably a lot more shaken by that.
Yeah,
But I walk past crazy stuff every
Yeah.
day here.
That's fair, man. I can't wait to see it because I'm sure
I've
it's
only been to
not too
Toronto one
different.
time.
You've been here before?
Only once.
Super cool, man. What were you doing?
Seeing a doctor
Okay.
out there.
Nice,
Yeah.
man. Cool.
So I want to go back to stay there longer.
Man, when
I
you come
loved it.
through, let me know. As long as I'm still here, I would love to link up with you. And
Most definitely.
trying to get Keith here in the summer. If you guys can
Yeah.
make it happen in the summer, that's the best time to be here. Like people are starting to be
Yeah.
nice again, which is awesome because our winter is so cold. Everyone turns into such an ass. But that's now changing, and then everyone becomes so happy. There's everybody on the patios. It's great. So yeah, you guys got to come down for the summer.
No, most definitely.
Definitely, man. And then
Well,
Sharp.
I have to
Okay.
go.
Yep.
No worries, EJ.
So
Appreciate you,
before I
man.
leave, I want to say thank you. Appreciate y'all's time. It was
Thank you,
fun.
man. Good luck with everything. We'll
course,
stay in
man.
touch.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
you, man.
Cheers,
Take it
man.
easy.
Have a great night.
Bye.
Bye, EJ. He's awesome.
Yeah, man. So Sharp, it's just the memes left. Just go through some of these memes. Some continuation from yesterday because they're not letting this man go.
Is this Trump?
A serious life-threatening illness? Has your doctor told you you're probably going to die? My name is Dr. Donald Trump, and I have helped millions of patients with conditions just like yours. Cancer, heart disease, ALS, you name it. Conditions your doctor said were untreatable. I've seen them all, and I fixed them all. I use an advanced technique that the cheating medical establishment don't want you to know about. The results are,
That's
frankly,
exactly what he would
incredible.
do too.
Nobody gets results like this. They're the greatest results.
They gave me 6 weeks to live, but then I called the hotline and was healed entirely through the phone.
I was clinically brain dead, and my wife was about to pull the plug when the doctor saved my life.
If you or someone you love is suffering, don't wait. Don't let the corrupt medical establishment tell you what's possible. Call 1-900-NOT-JESUS today. Let's make your health great again. Are you suffering from a...
This is where AI video should stop. You know what I'm saying? Like, it should just never get better than this because like this is clearly fake, but it's good enough to be wildly funny.
Exactly, man. Yeah. So that's wild, man. But yeah, they're not letting this man go on that one. So I love that. I respect and appreciate that.
Totally. I had a lot of people ask me seriously. They're like, "Do you think anybody believed that he was calling himself a doctor? Like, like RD is saying, like that he was actually a doctor in that photo?" And I'm like, "I'm sure there's some.
There's gotta be."
But I was like, "There's no one who can help them, though."
Yeah, like way off the deep end, man. So, but yeah, man, that's pretty much it from the memes. We saw the other ones, Sharp. So
Appreciate it.
yeah.
Sweet. Well, then that's pretty much it, right? One other thing too, for Spotify, we always ask you to rate it. If you've already rated it, make sure to follow us there as well. We got an email or notification from Spotify basically telling us to push that. So if you've already reviewed it, amazing. Click the follow. You don't even follow us, bro.
Is this my account? No, I'm logged in the Memes and Markets.
Memes and Markets. We don't follow ourselves. Can you follow yourself? Nice. Cool. But yeah, we would obviously appreciate you following us there. We always edit down the podcast to like we cut out the beginning and the end and put it up there with treated audio too. So if there's ever any audio issues, which we try to level that out for you and put it there, it's usually up within a few hours of the stream.
Right. Yep. And then just a couple of comments from yesterday that we have so far.
Yeah.
Nothing crazy. The QAZ 1828 said, well, I liked that you had Peter on the show. I am enjoying all the interesting guests you are getting on. And the fact I'm familiar with so many from other podcasts means I know we have similar interests. Cool.
That's the whole point, man. We want to talk to anybody and everybody. So that, yeah, we appreciate that.
Appreciate that majorly, the QAZ. Hollop Mo said, I had similar experience and went through similar emotions. It's tough when your identity is closely tied to your career and job and you let go. Got to find yourself, recreate yourself, reinvent yourself. Lucky for me, I'm young and early in my career, have a great support system and community, so it was easy for me to remain optimistic.
Beautiful. Appreciate you sharing your experience there.
Yep. Fantastic. And then Lawrence Israel said, Keith's bad camera lets me know it's real, Ben. It's the journey, remember. Appreciate you, Lawrence, for pulling up and dropping a comment.
Yeah, thank you all so much. And yeah, we had Matthew asking, where's the mix at? The mix is out, man. And it's out. It's there. I've been bumping to it as I've been going on my walks. So it's there to access. I'll make sure it was in the previous description. I'll make sure just to add it to the default moving forward. So it'll always be there.
Forever.
And when we have the private community, I want to see, like, we should do a challenge for who can get the most right of guessing whose song was which.
Oh, that's a great idea.
Oh, it was already there. Well, come on, Ben, give yourself more credit. Yes, it is in the description box, bottom link. Matthew says I'm lacking. We'll get in there and get that thing bumping, and then we'll continue to add to it as time goes on. From like whether we do a Patreon or private group, whatever, we'll make that part of the thing where maybe once a week we add a new song that people can vote on, stuff like that.
100%.
Cool.
That's it for me, Ben.
That's it for me as well. We appreciate all y'all tuning in. This was a bonus stream just to accommodate Emmitt and EJ. Go show them some love. They are linked in the description box, both their IGs. So go show them some love. And then you got the giveaway you want to talk about?
Yes. Tomorrow we have the giveaway. So join us live tomorrow at Thursday at 12 p.m. Eastern. If you get there on time, we will be sure to be able to get you to enter into the giveaway. So get there early, be there or be square, and you might not get access to a free Pro Pass to Bitcoin 2026 in Las Vegas. A free $1,500 ticket is going to be given away tomorrow on the live stream.
That's a crazy prize. We got to do everything we can to juice that on Twitter because that's a big prize. And there's a lot of people who live in the area that could definitely go to that.
Oh, yeah, guys. So invite your friends, invite people you know. In fact, you'll see that you can be incentivized to do that. If you get people in the game, you might actually get more points for that. So
there you go. Let's go. Love to see it. Thank y'all for tuning in. That's all from me. Keith, anything else?
That's it for me. Just make today the best day of your life, folks.
That's it. Be the light that you want to see, and we will see all of you guys tomorrow at 12 p.m. Eastern at our normally scheduled time. Have a wonderful evening, guys. Take it easy. Play and goodbye.